بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. All praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we send prayers and salutation for the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his family, household, and companions. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with all of them. Ask Allah Jalla wa ala to grant us all tawfiq and thabat, and grant us all acceptance. Ameen. Inshallah, we have the muhadara here. The topic we're going to speak about is Al-Mulakhas fi Ahkami Zakat al-Fitr. Yani a summary of the rulings of Zakat al-Fitr. As some ulamas, they explain wide about it. But inshallah, we're just going to be brief, bi'idnillahi ta'ala, in speaking about Zakat al-Fitr here, inshallah ta'ala. Zakat al-Fitr. معنى زكاة الفطر في اصطلاح. What is the meaning of زكاة الفطر in the Sharia? قال العلماء رحمه الله: التعبد لله تعالى بإخراج صاع من قوت أهل البلد للفقراء والمساكين قبل صلاة العيد. زكاة الفطر is التعبد لله. It is done to worship Allah. That means it is not an ada. It is not a culture that every year at the end of Ramadan everyone must yani does that. No, it is not a culture, but rather it is an ibadah. At-ta'abbudu lillah. It is an ibadah. والإبادة لا بد فيها من شرطان يعني الإخلاص والمتابعة. If it is an ibadah, then there are two things there which always should be there before the ibadah is accepted. Number one, يجب أن تكون العبادة لله جل جلاله ويجب أن تكون على وفق ما جاء به الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام. The ibadah must be done for Allah alone. That is sincerity, ikhlas. Then the ibadah must be done in accordance to the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought to us. So that is why they say at-ta'abbudu lillah. That giving the zakatul fitr is an action that is done to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not a culture, not something that is done every year as a form of norms or a value or a culture which people are be practicing in their lands or their religion. No, it is an ibadah, it is an worship. That means it should be done for Allah and it should be done in accordance to the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. التعبد لله تعالى بإخراج صاع بإخراج صاع يعني بإخراج الصاع. The صاع is أربعة أمداد. When I say أربعة أمداد, this is what I mean. When I say أربعة أمداد, now if you watch here, like for example, the person whose hand is filled up can take like this, for example, like this. If you watch the screen, you can see the video. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the صاع. This is the أربعة أمداد. طيب, this is the صاع that the Prophet ﷺ speak about in the أربعة أمداد. يعني that is the sa'. The zakatul fitr must be given to the amount of the arba'atu amdad, which is the sa'. Min quti ahli al-balad. Min quti ahli al-balad, that means the staple food of the country, of the person who he lives in. For example, in Sierra Leone, for example, our staple food is rice. For example, our staple food is rice. So that means zakatul fitr, which we give in Sierra Leone, must be in rice because this is the qut al balad. This is the staple food of the people of Sierra Leone. Every country has its own staple food. Every country has its own staple food. There is a hadith which the Prophet ﷺ mentioned mentioned wheat, mentioned corn, and other things. Why? Because at that time, to the people of Medina, this was the staple food of for the people of Medina. That is why the Prophet mentioned that, alayhi salatu wasalam. But that doesn't specifically means only those foods that was mentioned in the hadith are the foods that are supposed to be given for zakatul fitr. No, rather the food that must be given for zakatul fitr is the food that is eaten by the people in the country as their staple food. That is the food which is being given, which is supposed to be given as zakatu al-fitr, as zakatul fitr. At-ta'abbudu lillahi ta'ala min بإخراج الصاع من قوت البلد. من قوت البلد, that is from the staple food of the country. للفقراء والمساكين. للفقراء والمساكين, that means it should be given to the fuqara. والمساكين من المسلمين. It should be given to the fuqara and the masakin from the Muslims. That means we should not give zakatul fitr to the kafir. The zakatul fitr only belongs to the fuqara. Who is the faqir and who is a faqir and who is a miskin? The faqir is the person who doesn't have anything. This is the faqir. And the miskin is a person who has something, but what he has is not sufficient and doesn't suffice for him or is not sufficient for him. For example, the faqir, he doesn't have anything. Whilst the miskin, he has something, but what he has is not sufficient. So now, if they mention all of these two names together in a sentence, they have different meaning. So yeah, here we have al-faqir and we have the miskin. So the zakatul fitr should be given to the faqir and the miskin. But if one of these two words are mentioned in a place or in a sentence, when the other is not mentioned, the other comes there. If Allah mentions fuqara, for example, then the masakin comes there. Then if Allah mentions masakin, then fuqara comes there. If one of them is not mentioned except the other one, but if both of them are mentioned, then they take different meaning. So here the meaning here is the fuqara is the people that there are people who doesn't have anything. They doesn't have anything. The masakin, there are people who have, but what they have is not sufficient for them. As Allah said in the Quran, إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين. الآية إنما الصدقات للفقراء إنما آدات الحصر. إنما آدات الحصر. That indeed zakah or the sadaqah is only for 8 category of people. From the first 2 categories that Allah mentioned in the ayah is what? Al-fuqara. Yani the fuqara, those that doesn't have anything. Those that doesn't have anything. Wal masakin, and those who have, but what they have doesn't suffice them. Now, so the meaning of zakatul fitr it says what? التعبد لله تعالى بإخراج صاع من قوت البلد. That is من قوت أهل البلد. To give, it is an action done to worship Allah by giving a sa, to amdad of food, the staple food of the country where the person lives, lil fuqara, to the masakin, to the poor and the needy ones. That means you should not give someone who you know that is self-sufficient. He has something that is suffice for him. You should not give him the zakatul fitr because he is not from the people who deserves to get some zakatul fitr. Zakatul fitr only should be given to those who are the poor and those who are the needy ones. Then it says قبل صلاة العيد. قبل صلاة العيد. That means zakatul fitr must not be given after salatul Eid. As the Prophet ﷺ said, if it should be given before the Eid. If it is given after the Eid, it is just sadaqah from the sadaqat. It is just sadaqah from the sadaqat. وما الحكمة من مشروعية زكاة الفطر? What is the wisdom? What is the aim and objective that led Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala to legislate zakatul fitr for this ummah? شرعت زكاة الفطر طهرة للصائم. طهرة للصائم. Zakatul fitr was legislated as a purification of the person who fasts. For example, when we fast, we have a lot of mistakes, either by statement, either by action. We have a lot of shortcomings when we fast. So zakatul fitr is a purification. Zakatul fitr is a purification that is going to purify these mistakes that we've done. It's a purification that's going to purify these mistakes that we've done. That is why Ibn Abbas said, فرض رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم زكاة الفطر طهرة للصائم. طهرة للصائم من اللغو من من اللغو والرفث. طيب والرفث وتعمة للمساكين. وتعمة للمساكين. أخرجه أبو داود. Ibn Abbas رضي الله عنهما, he said that Zakatul Fitr was legislated, was made as an obligation on this ummah by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, طهرة للصائم, as a purification for the person fast. purification من اللغو. من اللغو ما لا فائدة في له من القول والعمل. Things that doesn't have any benefits, either they are statements or they are actions. والرفث وهو فاحش الكلام. The Sheikh Raslan, he said رفث means what? فاحش الكلام, shameful talks, words, shameful statement that is shameful for someone to listen. نعم. وتعمة للمساكين. That it is a food. It is a food for the masakin, the poor, those that are needy. So this is the statement of Ibn Abbas, that zakatul fitr was legislated by the Prophet ﷺ as a purification for the person who fasts from statements and actions that have no benefit, and from evil and evil speech, and as a means of food for the poor and the needy ones. Now, so this is the aim of zakatul fitr, so that we purify ourselves. How? Because our ibadats are not complete. We have a lot of shortcomings. All of us, we have a lot of shortcomings in different type of ibadah that we do. So that is why Allah legislated this Zakatul Fitr, so that uh, it is a purification for us, so that our deed, our suffering, our striving in the month of Ramadan will not just go like that for nothing. So that the Zakatul Fitr will be a means to purify that for us, to make it accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why Allah legislated Zakatul al-Fitr. What is the ruling of Zakatul Fitr? Zakatul Fitr واجبة باتفاق المذاهب الأربع الفقهية الأربع. Zakatul Fitr is واجبة. يعني it means Zakatul Fitr is must upon every Muslim. Every Muslim Zakatul Fitr is must. Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, Al-Imam Malik, Al-Imam Shafi'i, Al-Imam Ahmad rahmatullahi alayhim, all of them, and they have a consensus that Zakatul Fitr is واجبة. وكما قال طائفة من السلف رضي الله عنهم ومنهم ابن حزم وابن قدامة وقد حكي ابن قدامة الإجماع عن ذلك. طيب. So Zakatul Fitr is a wajib, and the ulamas from the four A'imma and the other Salaf, like Ibn Hazim and the others, they've got a consensus that Zakatul Fitr is a wajib upon everyone. Is wajib upon everyone. Kulli Muslimin, every Muslim. That means the kafir, Zakatul Fitr is not an obligation on him, because his deed is not accepted, his action is not accepted. As Allah said in the Quran, وَلَوْ أَشْرَكُوا لَحَبِطَ عَنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. If they were to associate partners with Allah, then their deeds will be nullified. So Zakatul Fitr is not for the kafir, yani is not an obligation upon the kafir. But Yawm al-Qiyamah, he will be asked about it. He will be asked about it, Yawm al-Qiyamah. As some of the scholars said, the kuffar, they will be asked about the legislations of Islam. But if they do it, the actions is not correct, except they accept Islam. Except that they accept Islam. By that is, it means that what it means here, it means the action, the ibadat which Allah has ordered us, it is yani must upon everyone, Muslim and non-Muslim. But it cannot be correct for the kafir, except the kafir accept Islam. This is, understand this two things. The first one is the ibadat that was legislated, it was legislated for everyone. Ya ayuhan nas, ubudu rabbakum. Allah said, oh people, worship Allah. Zakah is from the worship of Allah. A Psalm, fasting is from the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, these worship, all of the worship are wajib, are obligation upon the Muslims. Now, this worship that are obligation upon the Muslims, if the Muslim does it, inshallah, it's going to be accepted. Then, if the kafir does it when he is in a state of kufr, his ibadah is not accepted, is not correct. Why? Because there is one condition which is missing, which cannot be, and it can be a reason for the ibadah not to be accepted, which is al-ikhlas, which is tawheed, al-ikhlas, al-Islam. As Allah said in the Quran, وَلَوْ أَشْرَكُوا لَحَبِطَ عَنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. If they were to associate partner with Allah, their deeds, all of it will be notified. So Zakatul Fitr is wajib ala kulli muslimin. It is must upon every Muslim, صغير أو كبير. Either he is big, yani old or small, ذكر أو أنثى, or either he is a man or a woman, or a hur or abd, a slave or a servant of someone that is a free. وقد نقل الإجماع ولا ذلك ابن قدامة وابن رشد رحمهم الله تعالى وغفر الله لهما. The ulamas, they've got a consensus, and the ijma of that, the Zakatul Fitr is must upon someone that is a Muslim, someone that is a big or old or young, man or woman, either he is a free, and he is free, or he is a servant. Zakatul Fitr is an obligation on everyone from these people. Now, can Zakatul Fitr be given for the janeen, yani the child that is is in the womb of the mother? Some of the scholars, they said it should be given because of the actions of what? The action of the Sahabi Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu ta'ala an. He gave Zakatul Fitr for the unborn child. So because of that, some of the ulamas, they have ijma, and when he did that, there was no mukhalafa from the other salaf, from the other companions. So that means that they have consensus about that. وقد نقل هذا الإجماع ابن منذر رحمه الله, that yani Zakatul Fitr must be given for the child which is yani unborn yet. Now, she is the child is already in the womb of the mother, is already in the womb of the mother, then Zakatul Fitr must be given for that child, inshallah. Now, as the action of Uthman of the man. Now, Zakatul Fitr, is it must that you should give for everyone that is under your authority, or it should be given only for yourself? The ulamas, they've got a difference of opinion. While al-sahih, the scholars, they said the correct opinion from the Jumhur that the husband should pay zakatul fitr for his wife, his children, and anyone who he is the one that spends on them. He is the one that takes care of them in their feeding, in their clothing, in their housing, renting, everything. If you are the leader that does all of that for these people, then it's must upon you to pay zakatul fitr for them if you have the chance to do that. For example, you are the father of the house, you have your wife, you have your son, you have your daughter, you have your sister, your brothers, and you have your mother, and you have these and these or relatives who you are the one that you are responsible for them. Then it's must upon you to pay zakatul fitr for all of these people. To pay zakatul fitr for all of these people. The zakatul fitr, as we mentioned, it should be given arba'atu amdad. Arba'atu amdad. That is the sa. As we mentioned just now, that arba'atu amdad is like this, Is this, The arba'atu amdad is this. You take 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the arba'atu amdad. This is the arba'atu al amdad. So someone, a person who is matured, and his hand is like very big, so that he can be able to do that. And the ulama, they've got an ijma about this, like Imam bin Baz, Ibn Qayyim, Ibn Uthaymeen, Shafi'i, and the others, rahimahumullah. Now, who are the people that are supposed to receive zakatul fitr? As we mentioned before, the zakatul fitr must be received to only the poor and the needy ones. إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين. Only for them. We should not give someone who is self-sufficient. He doesn't need anything. We should not give him. Like some people, he know that he is able to give zakatul fitr. Then this other brother knows, he know that this other brother, is able to give zakatul fitr. Then he takes his own zakatul fitr and give that person. No, you should not do this. You should not do this. Zakatul fitr must not be not like that, and that is not accepted. Rather, you find someone who is needy, who is in need, who is more poor, who needs more than this person. This person already have, and he has the ability to give. Why are you going to give him again zakatul fitr? This is like you are exchanging things together. That is not zakatul fitr. We must try to avoid that. We must try to avoid that. Now, so you give zakatul fitr only to those who are needy, to those who are poor, to those who cannot afford it. Those are the people that you give zakatul fitr to or for. Now, then ta'jil zakatul fitr. What is the time that we supposed to give zakatul fitr? The obligational time which it is supposed to be we're supposed to give zakatul fitr is from the evening when the moon is sighted for the month of Shawwal. For example, today is the 29th of Ramadan, for example, and the moon is sighted this evening. That means zakatul fitr is wajib from this time till tomorrow before we go to the Eid Salah, the Salatul Eid. This is the period. This is the period which Zakatul Fitr is a must upon every Muslim. From the moment when the moon, the crescent, is sighted for the Shawwal, then it is must from that time till the time we go for prayer. That is the time the obligation ends. Then it can be given early before that. For example, it can be given 2 days before Eid. 2 days before, that is the 28th or the 29th. It can be given 2 days before Eid. That the Salaf, radiallahu ta'ala anhum, they used to do that. They used to give zakatul fitr 2 days before Eid. And there is no problem in this. But the best time to give zakatul fitr is in the morning before going for the Salatul Eid. That is the best time to give zakatul fitr, in the morning before going for Salatul Eid. Before going for Salatul Eid. There is a mas'ala here which is very important, which is it permissible for someone to give zakatul fitr with money? This is the mas'ala. Is it permissible for someone to give zakatul fitr with money? There are a lot of people, they bring opinions about this. They said a lot of things about giving zakatul fitr with money. A lot of people, they said a lot of things about this, that one should give zakatul fitr with money, if there is maslaha. So the ruling, the question is it permissible for someone to give zakatul fitr with money? And what is the answer to this? The scholars, alhamdulillah, they've answered to this already, rahimahumullah. وحفظ من كان في الحياة أسأل الله أن يحفظهم جميعا. The scholars, they've answered to this. For example, from the scholars that said zakatul fitr, there is no problem if there is a maslaha to give in the form of money, like Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah. Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, they said zakatul fitr can be given with money if there is maslaha for that. If there is maslaha for that. If there is maslaha for that. Now, this statement, which is said by Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, is not accepted as the scholars, they've answered this. Alhamdulillah. For example, Sheikh Raslan Hafidahullah, he mentioned, he said, the people who says Zakatul Fitr is given with money, uh, because they accept the call of Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, the statement of Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, because of the maslaha that says that Zakatul Fitr must be given or can be given with money because of the maslaha. The Sheikh, he said, we say to them one thing only. And this is the statement of Sheikh Raslan. He said, now Al-Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, what he said here is contradiction to the Sunnah. This is contrary to the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ to give Zakatul Fitr in food. And not only Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, other scholars from the scholars of the Sunnah, they've said the same thing. They've said the same thing. Now, so Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, what he said, that Zakatul Fitr can be given with money. Sheikh Raslan Hafidahullah, he said, we say to them one thing. We say because Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, there is another mas'ala, another issue which he contradict the Prophet ﷺ to again in it. For example, the Prophet ﷺ said that there is no nikah, there is no marriage except by the permission of the guardian, except by the guardian who gives the permission for the marriage to be correct and accepted. But the Prophet ﷺ said this in a hadith, and there is an authentic hadith. But Al-Imam Abu Hanifa said, no, a woman can marry herself. A woman can marry herself without any guidance, any wali. The Sheikh Raslan Hafidahullah, he said, okay, if they say they're going to accept Al-Imam Abu Hanifa's statement in relation to Zakatul Fitr that it can be given with money, then let them accept the statement of Al-Imam Abu Hanifa again in where the woman can marry herself. That is, they leave their daughter, their daughter go and find a man, a suitor for herself, then she married to that person and they come together with that person in the house and they enter, they go up and down as how they feel. Will the person accept that for his own a child or daughter to go and marry herself to a man? Then, without his own permission, then that daughter come with that man in the house. They do everything common. Then they go in and out. Will he be pleased with that? The Sheikh, he said, if they accept the statement of Al-Imam Abu Hanif in Zakatul Fitr, then that means they should accept the statement of Al-Imam Abu Hanifa in the other mas'ala. In the other masala, the Sheikh, he said, why does they accept only the statement in the issue of Zakatul Fitr and they reject the statement in the issue of Wali? That means they are following their desires. They are not following the truth. They are not following the truth. And remember that Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, what he said is a mistake. Rahimahullah ta'ala wa ghafirallahu lah. This is a mistake. We cannot follow him in this mistake. And all of the ulama, the Aimma al-Arba, they said, إذا صح الحديث فهو مذهبي. Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, Al-Imam Malik, Al-Imam Shafi'i, Al-Imam Ahmad, rahimahumullah ta'ala, they said, إذا صح الحديث فهو مذهبي. If a hadith is authentically narrated from the Prophet, then that is my path. So that means if their statement is contrary to the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, or the action of the Prophet ﷺ, we take the Prophet's statement and his action, and we leave their mistakes and their contradiction, and we seek forgiveness for them because they are ulama. They are mujtahidun. They are mujtahidun. The hakim, when he does ijtihad, then he is successful in his ijtihad. He has two rewards. But if he falls into mistake, he has one reward. So we seek forgiveness for Al-Imam Abu Hanifa and anyone from the ulamas who said that, like Ibn Taymiyyah, that Zakatul Fitr can be given with money because of the masla. We say no, it's not accepted. Whoever gives Zakatul Fitr with money, that Zakatul Fitr is not accepted, and that is not called as Zakatul Fitr, because that is why in the beginning of the lesson we said Zakatul Fitr is what? At-ta'abbudu lillah, is an action that is done to worship Allah, and we said anything that is done for the to worship Allah, there must be two conditions that is fulfilled. Number one, the thing must be done for Allah, and it must be done in accordance to the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ. And Zakatul Fitr, from the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ, must be given with food, not with money. So that means if it is done for Allah, if someone gives Zakatul Fitr with money, if the action is done for Allah, but it is not done in accordance to the Sunnah, that means it is not going to be accepted. So that means we accept the statement of the ulamas in all of the masail which they are in line with the Sunnah, the correct hadith, and at the same time, what they said which is contrary to the hadith or the ayah, we seek excuse for them. We ask Allah to forgive them and pardon them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them Jannah, all of them. Ameen. Rahimahumullah ta'ala. But at the same time, we do not follow them in their mistakes. This is the thing that is an obligation upon every Muslim, man and woman, to understand. So that means Zakatul Fitr must not be given with money. It should only be given with the staple food of the country. If it is given with money, it is not accepted and it is not referred to as Zakatul Fitr. And in fact, that is from the bid'ah. That is from the bid'ah, because this is something that has been invented in the deen of Allah.
which the Prophet ﷺ doesn't know about. The Sahaba did not know about it. The companions did not know about it. Radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So we do not do that. We do not give zakatul fitr with money. Instead, we only give zakatul fitr in a form of food, and that is the correct madhab that every Muslim should follow. Subhanallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, فَلْيَحْذَرِ الَّذِينَ يُخَالِفُونَ عَنْ أَمْرِي أَنْ تُصِيبَهُمْ فِتْنَةٌ أَوْ يُصِيبَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. Let them be careful. Let them take time. Those who opposes the command of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a fitna befalls on them. Lest a fitna befall on them, or a painful punishment befalls on them. Why? Because of them doing things contrary to the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Remember the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made zakatul fitr sa'an min ta'am. Sa'an min ta'am. Prophet made it as with food. He legislated with food. So whoever opposes the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam statement, we fear for him. And Allah said in the Quran, وَمَا كَانَ لِمُؤْمِنٍ وَلَا مُؤْمِنَةٍ إِذَا قَضَى اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ أَمْرًا أَنْ يَكُونَ لَهُمُ الْخِيَرَةُ مِنْ أَمْرِهِمْ وَمَنْ يَعْصِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَقَدْ ضَلَّ ضَلَالًا مُبِينًا. It is not befitting for the Muslim man or woman, believing man or woman, for Allah to legislate something, for the Rasul to legislate something, and they have a choice to do contrary to that which Allah and His Rasul has legislated. It is not befitting the Muslim man and woman to do so. وَمَنْ يَعْصِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَقَدْ ضَلَّ ضَلَالًا مُبِينًا. And whoever disobeyed the Rasul, then this person have gone far clearly astray from the correct path. And the Prophet said in a hadith, وَمَنْ عَمِلَ عَمَلًا لَيْسَ عَلَيْهِ أَمْرُنَا فَهُوَ رَدٌّ. Whoever does an action, that action is contrary to my teachings, it is not accepted. It is not accepted and it will be rejected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That means those who say, no, we should want the maslah of the people. If you can give the zakat of fitr with money, la, this is not permissible, ya akhi. لا هذا يخالف ما جاء به الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. This contrary to that which the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم brought to us. Rather, zakatul fitr must be given with food, the staple food of the country. Now, you can give zakatul fitr with the staple food. Then, if you have any other thing which you want to add for the person, that is with you. But the thing which is legislated on you is that the zakatul fitr must be given with food. Must be given with food. It's not, it should not be given with money or any other thing which is contrary to what the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم told us. And ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to make this as a beneficial one for us all. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it all from us. I mean, inshallah, this is the ending of the dars bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Inshallah ta'ala, we're going to stop here bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to make everything easy for us and accept everything for us all. This is a brief dars of in explaining the ahkam of Zakatul Fitr. Ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to make it beneficial for all of us and to accept it from all of us. I mean, ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to aid us all to reach Laylatul Qadr. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to get the reward of Laylatul Qadr. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from those who are not deprived from it. May Allah make us from the successful ones in this month of Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala redeem us from the Jahannam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from the successful ones in the month of Ramadan. Ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to grant us al-ikhlas and accept all our deeds in this month. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us ikhlas and accept all our deeds in this month. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.